What's happening? We're continuing this video here with Dale and Chris.
Well, exactly. Oh, it is that principle. Don't give up, never give up, right? Hard sell. Yes. Caring about the person.
There's no hard sell. It's just if someone says that they want to produce X and I can say I can give you X in Y period of time, then it's up to you.
And enough to get them through the stops and barriers, preventing them from achieving spiritual freedom and immortality. That's hard sell in Scientology. Carrying enough of
Well, Landmark doesn't promise immortality. I guess Scientology does,
the person to get them through the stops and barriers.
depending on what your meaning of immortality is. I interpret it completely different. I interpret immortality as a legacy left behind. So your seven great grandchildren are seeing the impact that you made on the world.
Right, to their personal freedom and immortality. That's how that's the baseline Scientology sales indoctrination. All them.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, do people that do Scientology get that freedom that they felt that they wanted when they signed up? I don't know. I mean, I know that in the forum I got that in 5 days. So
Technology built on that, but without the hard sell attitude, it all falls apart. And you guys had that. We had that. All these groups have it.
no, they don't have a hard set. They're just talking to people. If you haven't done the Form of Advanced course, 2 5-day courses, $915 each before discount. I don't make any money off of it. Yeah, Landmark Worldwide is a training and development company. Scientology is a religion. Scientology is what Scientology is.
It comes
Landmark is not Scientology.
process carrying, but under the pressure of the quota met, the quotas must be met. The quota.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a quota. It's just like a promise, and I'm just playing a game to meet the promise.
Will win over compassion 100% of the time. That's where things get.
What will win over compassion? I don't know what that said, but no, I say compassion always wins over all else.
Then you're not successful. You're not being measured. You're not.
Yeah, I mean, I want companies to measure their results, and measure the results of
Doing what you did you would. If you there would be a result.
Imagine if everyone around the world all did what they said they were going to do, or owned up to it and cleaned up afterwards. I mean, this would be unreal.
It's very good. That's through the seminars, the Landmark Formula Advanced course, SELP, even ILP, the same thing. The team would come in at a particular time.
SELP is Self-Expression Leadership Program. ILP is no longer a program that they offer. It was the Introduction Leaders Program.
And this was global. This was a formula global. It's a 7th session of every seminar series. That's when a team of people came in. There was a special evening. There were always introduction leaders at the beginning of the course. The introduction leaders had their statistics to meet. They had so everybody had a self-interest in keeping this game going. They had.
Yeah, I would say I'm being trained and developed. I'm not self-interested. I mean, you have to have some sort of what's in it for me not in order to, but for anything to exist. I mean, people have got to get something out of it. Why else would they do what they do? So yeah, I want people that are sharing this with other people, and want to share it with strangers and many people, to have hit a certain standard.
Had their minimum acceptable results. Everybody had minimum acceptable results. So as a staff person, I would organise teams to go in and get these results at strategic time, place to time, which meant going in on Saturdays, staying Saturday.
The 3-hour video of Chris being quite concerned sounding. Maybe I'm completely off base. And him verifying his concerns, and meanwhile it's just all positive from her. He's just taking it as oh well, that's just like Scientology is.
Going in on Sunday on the days off, supposed days off. We're at the point where the policy came through that staff people.
I mean, they have lots of different courses, but just the Form of the Advanced course. Don't do any more if you don't want to do more. It's totally up to you. But the Form of the Advanced course really give you things that seem to me would be a real. It's not a direction of being human, but it's I don't know, allows people to come up with stuff on their own faster and easier, and with more simplicity. And
it was, I had an extra on top of my 63 hours. I had at least 30, 40 hours on top of that doing all these extra bits. And I had to be,
yeah, I mean, it seems like everyone gets weekends off. I covered for people that were taking their weekend off.
These are all my volunteer time. So that was just expected. There was no argument. As a staff person,
it's not volunteering, it's assisting. Nobody volunteers at Landmark, at least. They all get value out of the time that they assist.
Myself when I've been on holidays. So I had 4 weeks a year, and starting we had 4 weeks.
Yeah, if it's a holiday and well, holiday, she's meaning vacation. So yeah, you got to replace yourself to go on vacation. Like what? I mean, that seems like, I mean, imagine that if every workplace made you make sure that your job was fully covered while you're on vacation. I mean, that'd be so much off the CEO's back, and work would not slow down the slightest.
Weeks a year. We were encouraged to take 1 week a quarter so that we didn't have a big block.
Take 1 week off a whole quarter? Oh, wow, that's a sick company.
And we had to replace themselves. But people were scared. Like, they didn't put, I mean, people from being staff person for a week. Are you kidding me? No way. So, it was not condoned that we leave the space blank because we were going to have to catch up anyway. So we didn't have to find somebody to replace it. So that was basic. And then so with the statistics we would meet once a quarter in our own time outside of our office hours to create the quarter. And it was basically putting 8% on top of the previous quarter. We had to be 8% better than the previous quarter to prove that we were a growing enterprise.
Okay. I think 6% is considered in any growth industry, any sales or service industry, 6% annual.
Wow. So he's saying that most sales or growth industries ask for a 6% and they ask for an 8. So wow, they are just like above and beyond with everything. It's unbelievable.
Amazing.
And I mean, these seems to work it works so well that, yeah, it seems natural.
And it was interesting how in that Guardian article, that reporter, that British reporter who did this said something about how
yeah, the Guardian article, they were afraid that they thought it was going to be one thing, and then they went in and they were like, oh, it's completely different.
Growing is 2003 at something like 10% a year, something like that. So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Oh, wow.
Well, that might be the synthesis is still open. There was somebody in France that recorded a forum. And that's it.
Against the agreement that they made, they said, France 3, you can come in and film like outside the session before and after, but please don't film inside of the session. And they did it anyway.
Gosh, yeah, I was thinking, oh my God, I would have been kicked over that.
Yeah, I heard about that and I was like, yeah, they just totally pulled out of France after a documentary was made about the forum and aired. And Europe.
Yeah, I mean, look, they were concerned about it. And I think they're well, I mean, it's all on Zoom now, so of course French people are doing it.
A lot more transparent about this stuff in America is way more. They're much more advocates for.
No, they literally filmed without agreement. So that is not transparent. That is the opposite of transparent. In any event, they would find out that Landmark's like literally probably the most transparent company I've ever seen, and is empowering other companies to all be transparent as well.
Than America is.
Absolutely. Germany had anticipate any training like this likely. So yeah, the European countries were a lot more resistant. The Asian countries, on the other hand, they want to be West and getting into the corporate culture, so it's thriving in the Asian countries.
Makes complete sense to me too, given the cultural shift and value differences in Asian cultures versus American cultures. They're much more collectivist, I think.
No, nothing to do with culture. I mean, some of the questions about culture would be answered in the Form of the Advanced course. All of their training with all of their courses, and the training people get in staff are all what it means to be a human being and what most human beings have in common.
Okay. Yeah. So the idea of getting along with other people and resolving all that stuff and working together and quotas and all that stuff are going to. I'm not going to stereotype the entire Asian world when I say stuff like that. It's just there are tendencies you see with cultures, and that's all I'm trying to point out there. So
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you haven't done the forum, so it's just making assumptions based on things that we don't know, and we don't know that we don't know them.
And more statistics, they're like very statistic oriented. So yeah, we would meet and schedule the following quarter. Everything was done by quarters. To organise ways that we would increase by 8% the following quarter, and create affordability. So we had to embed a possibility for the quarter. That quarter was going to be the year of magnificent results, or the year that first transformed itself. So on staff, there were 4 full-time people and 1 part-time person. Now, and I was accountable for the people who were assisting. So I had around 220 people assisting to have all of these courses take place, all volunteers. And the agreement was that they would have something at stake, an area that they wanted to be trained and developed in. Better communication, being more assertive, production, being able to manage a production event, sound, looking after the leader. The leaders would have a wellbeing support. So the wellbeing support would pick the leader up from the hotel, organise their food over the course of the weekend, go and run errands, buy newspaper, whatever. And if the foreign leaders would give them a hard time as well, go out and get a specific newspaper, like the most difficult newspaper you could find in Perth.
Yeah, well, they read their specific newspaper every day all over the world. So, yeah, and like those things you can always find out. And that's like an assisting agreement that's like, it's not rare, but yeah, I mean, it's just really the advanced course in the form that people are suggested they do. And then other people are like, oh, I want to get involved in this way or that way, or that sounds interesting. I can get something out of that. But everyone gets value out of everything.
The particular patient had to did like really picky things, I think, to risk people, see how fast they could get off it. So it's like during the course, so this is all like the facade of, in reality, there were breakdowns everywhere, all the time. Leaders that just wouldn't show up, completing, there were 2 staff
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there's breakdowns everywhere in every organization, and this organization happens to declare it a breakdown and yeah, do what they need to do to cause that, and ideally set it up so that there is backup, so there's not future breakdown, whatever it is.
People that I know of, they just didn't go back to work one day. They didn't tell their family. They just disappeared. One guy in
That happens at every company everywhere.
Sydney, it turned out he couldn't train to Perth and stayed there for about 6 months. He didn't contact anybody. And it's this is weirdness. Who leaves their job and their city and their home and just
Yeah, a lot of people do.
doesn't communicate with
I
people?
mean, I understand if you grew up and live in Perth that you wouldn't see a lot of that, but yeah, that happens all over the world.
But it was very particular with communication, who got what. The staff people were the kind of the bastions for the policies and procedures. So we had to have those down pat. And interestingly, one of the questions in the policies was that we had to train ourselves to answer was, do people commit suicide after doing the landmark forum? That was in the policies and procedures. And I know they do. So I'm caught in this, like each time I saw the question, I'm like, again.
I mean, I've read one thing online where someone did, but it wasn't having anything to do with the forum. That person was dealing with what they're dealing with. Who knows if that person even went to their Sunday afternoon and Tuesday evening. And if that person really was miserable, and again, this is one person and one account online. Oh, no. They did talk to the family. And apparently the family member then signed up and did the forum in a few weeks after that. So if the family member did it a few weeks after that, then clearly the forum wasn't to blame for that.
Answer is yes. Why am I having to say Dr. Raymond Fowler said this and this is what's about it? And it totally deflects the answer.
Right.
So these things started to get to me.
It's not deflecting the answer. I mean, I don't know what the script was that you were given, but I wouldn't say that they ever deflect anything. I'd say that they acknowledge, answer, and it's not I can't judge one person's experience based on 5 days and separate that from their whole life. Like,
I know of somebody else who committed suicide during one of the forums. We came in when I was on staff. We came in the centre manager's fishbowl. It was like a big glass room that she could see everything that was going on. The blinds were down. Everything was quiet. And we're like, what's happened? Like, oh, somebody in the course committed suicide. So this was on the Monday. And his mother's in there. And the same thing, she was in there for hours and she left working. His son was chronically depressed and we were looking over the form to see if there was any indication that could pick something up. So this is me. I know of two. And that's in my short time. But that it was just hushed over. There was a
interesting. So I was going to ask you about this, and then it seems an appropriate place in the day-to-day work of being a staff member for the forum, right? Actually, really working for corporate, which is what you were doing. You're in this office environment, it's a small office. You said four full.
Yeah. So one person committed suicide after 34 years as Landmark Education and now Landmark Worldwide, and then another 20-ish years 20 years. So 55 years. And one person commits suicide after a 5-day course, and who knows whether it was a course that had any role in that whatsoever. And they have a 93% approval rating. It just doesn't. And the family member apparently signed up a day later.
Full-timers, one part-time. Was there any self-correcting mechanism within the organization when things went bad or wrong or south?
Yes, there is absolutely. Yeah, they've completely transformed the organization many
Somebody
times.
screwed up. I mean, you're doing your job. You're not getting.
Yep, people have gotten fired. All sorts of
is it all just go figure it out, or was there some kind of procedure to deal with you, to correct you back into how you should be?
Absolutely. We had, so in 1997, I think it was 97 or 98, Landmark Education as it was got an overhaul and became Landmark Education Corporation. So we had a charter. There were 5 events in the world: Melbourne, New York, London, with the 3 I remember. I can't remember.
We'll continue. Hope you're having the best day ever. Check out the other parts of the video in the description below.